welcome to the conversation. I'm your co-host, Alistair Sampson, and also we have on our side here Christopher Crossley, aka Mr. Crossley Sir. All
Yes,
right,
yes.
welcome everybody to the conversation. Again, the conversation is about us unplugged, uncensored, talking about business, talking about current events that we have, bringing on special guests, and really having a good time that we can actually just talk, unwind, let off our chest. But at the same time, you're able to learn something at the end of this program that we have here. So I turn it over to Chris because you like to connect it with us here in terms of our COVID check-in. All
Yes,
right.
yes. So good night once again, everybody. Thank you for joining us here on another edition of the conversation with the mountain movement. But no, before I do the check-in, I just want to say, gents tuning in, just a bit of housekeeping. It is not okay to wear a hat indoors. All right. And especially don't do it when you're on a Zoom meeting, please. This is not me trying to set any example, but this is me standing in solidarity and my prayers going out to everybody in St. Vincent at this time.
Mm-hmm.
Going through that experience right now with the volcano erupting 5 days in a row. It's not easy. People on the ground that don't have water, don't have electricity, all the thousands of people that have had to evacuate and no longer have their home, they're going to be displaced for a while, for a couple of months. So we do want to send out our support, our love, and our prayers to everybody in St. Vincent. I actually have a whole side of family in St. Vincent as well. They are safe, thank God, but can you truly be safe on an island with an erupting volcano?
True.
It's like, is there really a safe zone? So we just standing in solidarity and with them tonight. So that's why you see the hat. But like I said, don't wear hats in the house, please, gents. We don't do that. All right. So we weren't here for 2 weeks. And I guess it has been a productive and even a busy 2 weeks. But Alistair, tell me how was the last 2 weeks for you, especially with COVID and things progressing on your end?
Ooh. Yeah, it has been definitely busy time in terms of work wise. We have a number of projects that kind of hit the ground running in terms of work. Um, a lot of activity that's happening on the end here in terms of business, a number of things in terms of what we are doing here. And really and truly, I realize that more than ever, um, we have an obligation and an opportunity to help serve others in terms of what we're doing, where we are, what it is that we going out to do. And it's always important that we do that. So just coming back again with you, Chris, with respect to St. Vincent. We have a number of places. I'm not they didn't ask me to sponsor this, but I know it have is there not a cause and a number of these particular nonprofit organizations. And if it is that you have things that you can donate. See if we can do that. Persons in St. Vincent are going to be needing a lot, and this is us doing our part in terms of it. So, as much as possible, whatever you could, just try to go out there, try to donate some items, call, find. You could use the social media to even look at particular places that are calling on persons to bring in items and do your part in terms of it. I know some people want to talk about, well, if a neighbor house burning, wet your own. But I mean, as you can see right now, we don't have any active volcano. St. Vincent and the Grenadines need our help right now. Let's see what we can do to really help out and serve. Yeah.
Agreed. And I mean, we are still in the middle of dealing with a pandemic as well. So
Yeah.
they are managing multiple things right now. And
Mm.
like I said, a lot of places don't even have water.
Yeah.
So, you can't even adhere to some restrictions or when restrictions or things you need to do to protect yourself from even COVID. Or just washing your hands and keeping your place clean. You don't have proper water for that or even drinking water right about now. So, let's do help all we can because they are facing something that, a lot of us aren't dealing with right now.
Mm.
Well, for the last 2 weeks for me, as always, I tell people I use this time a lot or I have been using this time a lot to, do more of my own soul searching, my own personal development, looking at the things I want to do and develop, and a lot of the things that I actually want to cut out and stop doing, So it has always been a process to the progress right now for me and just learning more about myself. And speaking of which, as we're learning about ourselves during this time, as we all should, tonight we're touching on, dealing with distractions, taming distractions. And I know a lot of us deal with this. And ladies, let's put down the let's not say we're multitasking. Okay, let's I might get myself in trouble for saying this. All right, don't shoot the messenger. But it's true. All right, you all distract yourselves a lot and body multitasking. All right, I'll just say it. Vex at me if you want. All right. But
This is Sparta.
yeah, I mean, but this is all part of the learning process that we are going through.
Mhm.
Um, scientists are saying that the our attention spans as human beings is now 7 seconds, right? Before we look at something else or want to do something else. Unfortunately, 7 seconds is less than the attention span of a goldfish. All right. A goldfish has 8 seconds. Human beings are measuring at 7. That's not a good thing. So the topic tonight is taming distractions. All right. So we want you all to learn to get this in gear, and there are many things that you can deal with. So I'll let you head off with that, because I know this is something that you do training on and stuff like that as well.
Yeah. This is just some of the things I do training on. Is in team distractions, habits, time management, these kind of things like that. But if it is that we are not able to manage distractions, we're not going to be productive in terms of what we do. Let's be real in terms of it right now. Notice our topic is not about eliminating distractions, and to be honest, you're not going to be able to eliminate it. But if it is that you can control certain aspects of it, as well as your behavior towards certain distractions you cannot control, it will actually be a lot more effective in terms of how you work, what you do, how you perform, whether it's in terms of your job, whether it's in terms of your business, whatever the case may be. One of the important things that you have to understand, and is something that I've realized, people are always in denial, saying that they could never get distracted from anything. All right. And really and truly, once you're aware of how frequently you interrupt yourself, because you do interrupt yourself at times, you'll find yourself hard pressed not to go down that particular way again. Let's look at, honestly, Chris, let's look at a typical person getting up in the morning.
All
Sometimes the
right.
first thing people just do as they get up in the morning, they to pray, is to pick up the phone to see what messages pass, if it's email, if it's WhatsApp, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, whatever the case is. Because they say Facebook is for old people now. I don't know about that, but
Yeah, but is that a distraction or a bad habit?
well, it's a combination of two. What has happened is that it sets persons in a particular place, and then when they start to go into work zone or work time, you find them going back again in terms of continuing with what it is that checked on, or all these things like that. So it starts off as a bad habit, and they bring in that bad habit into the work, and it becomes distracting in terms of how you deal with your items, how you deal with your day. So you start checking these items as you get up, you go, you have your breakfast, you sit down, you say you have your plan all in your head. Notice what I'm saying my words, you have your plan all in your head in terms of what it is you're going to be doing for the day. And then you check in email. It started off as one email, two emails, and then all of a sudden a whole hour passed, and all you were doing was checking emails and haven't started on what it is that you needed to do as yet. Someone message you online while you're working. You're getting in some work by messaging them. Um, you get called into a last minute meeting. While you're in the meeting, you're still trying to message and do a number of things like that. And then when the day ends, you find yourself still playing catch up on the things that you supposed to have gotten done in the first place, and saying, you have no time, time run away from me. And then start to say what some people do, you find that because for some people that are working from home, they want to put in more hours while they're home right now. When it's supposed to be 8 to 9 hours, some people working 12 hours and more, because they say, well, at home, So better try to catch up on things that they could not have done during the day. And there's a whole vicious cycle because not all the things that they do you'll be able to catch up on. And we fall into that particular trap, or at least I could paint a scenario in terms of where people fall into that trap. From your perspective, Chris, a typical day or how it used to be or with you or whatever, are there areas of distractions that come up during the day in terms of like for you?
I think my biggest distraction is my own head at times. I'll be real with that. But
Mhm,
for me, you see, here's the thing. I'm not one that usually easily distracted, but I would say my thoughts would drift more than I'm distracted. And I could be listening to music, but then still thinking about something else, and then realize
mhm,
I'm actually not hearing what playing. My mind is somewhere else. But in the workplace, I can say distractions usually come from people's conversations, people who was in like cubicles and having conversations with each other, and you hearing them saying stuff, and then you might hear something that you know isn't correct, and you might like, hey, excuse, I heard what you just said, you know what I mean? You would get into the conversation, or they're speaking so
mhm,
loudly that you can't focus, and you had to ask them to kind of keep it down because you're trying to focus on what you have to do. So I would find that it wasn't actually me distracting myself, but external factors distracting me,
mhm.
usually other people.
Ah,
So now that I'm working from home, it's,
mhm.
it's great. It's great. Apart from my wife. Anyhow, but we won't get into that.
Yeah, you go ahead. Next thing you know, your car come on next week, you know.
You know what I mean? It's love, it's
Yeah,
love.
but check this out, believe it or not, and I'm glad I brought up that part in terms of sometimes your own mind will be bringing across distraction because believe it or not, our brain um is triggered to use distractions as a survival mode as well too, especially when it is that we have certain challenging tasks to do. Our brain does just say, boy, you sure you could do that? Boy, it will either be self-doubt coming in your brain causing the distractions, or your mind will focus on something future tense of the task. If I get this
Correct,
task done,
correct.
something will happen here. I could get this happening to you. If it is this thing happening here, we're going on, blah, blah, blah. And the mind thinking about future tense, if we get this done, but this hasn't been done as yet. And we're in the
Right.
present. So these are things that occur in our minds when it comes to being able to function and being able to deal with distractions and anything like that. It's really a big challenge. Now, I understand exactly where you're coming from with respect
Correct.
to your place could be quiet, but your own mind have its
Distracting you.
own distracting things.
Correct.
Either thinking about the future, when they get this done, what will happen, and this and that and that and that, and our mind go on a particular story mode, and we're not in the present in terms of
Correct.
what it is that we need to accomplish. All right. And there are persons I'm very sure who get distracted based on external factors.
Correct.
All right. External factors. Um, from what I understand, there are four types of distractions. Four types
Right.
of distraction. The first one is called the no control and annoying distractions. Meaning you have no control of it and it's annoying. Meaning people talking by a desk. Again, pulling a meeting that is absolute rubbish. You know it's rubbish. Even the
Meetings
person
that
calling
meetings
in,
meetings that could
yeah,
be emails.
yes.
Yeah.
Meetings that could be emails
Yeah.
and these particular elements like that. So that first one is your no control and annoying distractions. The second one is they call it no control and fun distractions. So, like for instance, for people who in the offices and stuff, you have your team away day or these team events or things. It's done on a work day. You're
Right.
out to the office, it's a fun environment. You're not by a desk doing anything. You don't have control of it, but it is a fun
Activity. Yeah.
environment or an activity to really kind of break you out of the monotony that it have there. It have some companies, they have mandatory stretching exercises. So, and you have your them mandatory stretching exercise for the employees. You have to come in
Right.
here half every 1 hour for the day and do stretching exercise or half an hour, 15 minutes or whatever the case may be, some yoga, something that they do. They have these things.
Right.
And that's no problem. So that's the second type of distraction. As I said, the first one is the non-control and annoying, and the second one is the non-control and fun. The
Yep.
third one is the one you can control, but it's annoying. So like emails, you could control the emails coming to you, at least in terms of notifications that come across.
Right. Correct.
Um, even certain meetings, the ones that you call as well, you
Correct.
have control over it because those are the meetings that you
You
call.
called. Yep.
Yeah, you are the one that you are the organizer, the instigator, all of these things like that. You could control the structure and the outcome of that meeting if it is that they put certain things in play.
Yep.
And the fourth one is the distraction that can be controlled and is also fun. And I use fun in quotes. That is your social media, your WhatsApp, your TikTok, your whatever instant messages that you have, your Telegram for those who just use Telegram. These things that will make you pick up your phone and check in on that, or even the ones that you have for work as well. Like people use Microsoft Teams with respect to instant messaging as well too.
Correct.
Um, you could control how that is as well too, because sometimes people just use that to, hey, how you going, what you doing. But really the big distractions that is fun and you could control is your Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, the whole list of it that's going on right now,
Correct.
right? These are the things that you could control. So those are the four major distractions that you have, especially in a workplace or on your business itself. These are the four major ones. And yeah, what is saying there, Chris?
No, I was just saying. Okay.
Yeah. And the thing about it, right? There are ways that you can actually deal with these things. So for persons who listening, the distractions that you cannot control and are annoying, honestly, what you need to do is to be able to deal with it, try to cut it short, to try to get back on track. That's the main overall bubble of what you could do. Because I mean, you can't control people coming to my desk. You can't control being drafted into one of these phantom meetings. You can't control these particular items. So how will you be able to control that? So like if it is to get pulled into one of these so-called non-productive meetings, you could go inside of there and you can say, okay, what's the agenda of this meeting? All right, and how long we supposed to stay inside of here to deal with what? In a kind of way, it's kind of taking command of the meeting yourself to be able to at least make it a little more productive.
Nothing is wrong with that. Nothing
Yeah,
is wrong with
nothing
that.
is
I
wrong
still
with
do
that
it.
at all. Yeah, do it. Nothing is wrong with that whatsoever. You might not be the chairperson, but if you know fully well here what, you need to get out of there to get back to your work. At least from that meeting itself, try to make sure that certain things, objectives are met. Because you know there are some persons who just like to call meetings and they love to use the word well in terms of the meeting. So what
Hmm.
we discussing, well we supposed to and all
Yeah,
of these
yeah,
things
yeah.
like that.
No,
So you
no
have
actual
that,
plan. Yeah.
right? And I mean, you have your persons who like to come by a cubicle and want to talk or whatever the case may be. And if it's annoying, I know some people may pop a wall and say, "Watch, I really can't think right now," blah blah blah. But you need to be able to cut the conversation as well. Okay, here what? We'll check back around 10 a.m. I need to finish this right now. And it's no problem in terms of politely asking a person to
Correct.
say, here what? I need to be able to get this done now. We could chat after. No horrors. I mean, all right, here, I'm trying to meet this deadline, whatever the case may be.
And
Is it?
that is actually proper office etiquette, I would say. You know, some
Mhm.
people come and I usually use the term they giraffe over your cubicle, where they come and stand and then there are
Yeah.
those that like to walk right up to you, into your space. And it is okay. And people might think maybe I'm being rude by doing this, but you're not. One, you're in your space. Two, you're in work. three actually doing work. So it's fine to say, hey, I'm just trying to finish this. I will check you after. Or
Mm.
lunchtime we will talk. You know what I mean? Something to
Yeah.
that effect. You're not being rude, you're not being disrespectful. This is just actually honest way of being. And you're actually in work doing work. But you see, habits once again, especially in a lot of offices where people, you know, we tend to be a really casual with each other, even during working
Mm.
hours. And we think it's okay just to old talk sometimes. But we do have to remember at the end of the day, we are at the office, we are actually doing work and trying to, whether it's meet deadlines or be productive, and
Mm.
then because then the turnaround is 2 o'clock, reach 3 o'clock, you're like, oh gosh, I have all this work still to do. And then you might stoop and say, well, tomorrow, you
Hmm.
know.
Exactly.
So, I mean, that is something, a habit that we have to break out. A lot of people do it. I have done it many times. As soon as you reach, it's like, hey, what? I'm finishing this. We're not gonna pass and check it. It's not a problem. It's
Hmm.
not a problem. And most time people say, okay, cool, don't forget me. And they will go,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
that's fine. That's fine.
Exactly. Just to add on to that one as well, with respect to persons who you tell them, okay, I'll come and check at 12 o'clock or whatever. Check them the 12 o'clock because what is going, right? If it is that you do come, what they'll do, they'll come and interrupt again. And if you tell me, check, yeah, but you're always saying that, best I come and tell you no and interrupt your time. Maximus interrupt us.
Yeah, well,
All right. So if it is they say you're gonna check them for 11 or for 12 or for 2, and they say okay, check them for 11 or for 12 or for 2. At least in that way, they're able to know, well, okay, the person this, and especially if you periodically do that, they know, well, okay, the best time to come and talk to you is 11 or 12 or 2, depending on how you set your area. Because I mean, if you're consistent with what you're doing, that definitely helps,
yep.
especially in the workplace. As you rightly say, I like that statement, the giraffe.
Yeah, they
There's
come on giraffe over here because I mean,
because
it's,
I
yeah.
remember somebody do that and she was 4 foot 11.
Or she jumped. She's hopping.
Ah,
She's hopping.
yeah, it's happening. You see these things happening,
Yeah,
right?
it's all good.
So I mean, those, as I said, that's how you can control the non-control and annoying items. The non-control and fun distractions, just have fun with it. It's there for a reason. The team building exercise and all these things like that. Because honestly, I've seen people and I've seen how their mannerism is and everything like that. Imagine you have persons who are in a team building exercise, but they're not corner trying to send email and all this kind of thing like that. They become the distraction during that particular time. And it's really a time for you to unwind and everything because you need to have that work-life balance as well too. So things like team away, sports events, these things like that they have in the workplace. Go ahead, have fun with it. If it's a 5K walk in the office and all these things like that, no problem. I see somebody complain that they're 4 foot 11 and I throw shade. I am so sorry for that listener.
Hey,
It was not
yeah.
directed towards you. You are not the only person on earth who's 4 foot 11.
I
Okay.
like short people. That's all I'm gonna say. It's all good. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So yeah, as I say, you have that one. Now, the third and fourth one, the ones that you can control, your goal really is to put things in place ahead of time for those. Is to put things in place ahead of time for the distraction that you control, that you could control and that is annoying, and the one that you could control and that is fun. So
Right.
I want to deal with the one that is could control and annoying. So, like for instance, the meetings that you call. If it is that you have called a meeting, it's very important, and don't please, it's very important. Have an agenda for the meeting, send it out
Prior.
honestly prior,
Hmm.
and prior don't mean 5 minutes before. I say minimum 48 hours before, 2 days before.
Exactly.
Respect people's time and respect your time. So if it is that you're going to have these meetings and the meeting is going to be Wednesday, you should have sent out an agenda since Monday. So at least persons would know. So people could see exactly what it is that the objective of the meeting is, how it's going to break up, and how long the time is going to take in terms of it. You might tell
Right.
yourself, but oh gosh, I like to wing it. That's why in the agenda there's a section called any other business.
Nobody likes to wing a meeting though. I mean, we're not talking impromptu here where we're
Mm,
probably dealing with something that just happened and we have to now address it immediately. We're talking about meetings that, probably we're planning, we're in the way of being planned probably a week in advance, knowing
mm-hmm.
something is coming up, some change in the office, something like it could be a department
Correct.
meeting even, and at least two days before, at least have that itinerary ready and sent out, that agenda sent out, so that people will know what we'll be discussing, so they can
Mm-hmm.
prepare and all questions that they
Correct.
may have, topics that they want to address during the meeting, in
Mm-hmm.
case it's not already addressed on the agenda. So that is stuff that is within your control.
Correct. So, and again, you see, once you start doing that, people start taking pattern, especially if it is they realize that it is bringing forth results coming out from the meeting, that your meeting is very productive. And if it is that you're going to have a meeting for an hour, don't go over that time. If you can actually finish it before time, you finish it before time because everything has been done and the objective has been met in the meeting itself.
Correct.
And next thing that is important as well too, if you don't need a meeting, don't call a meeting. If it can
Yeah,
be
yeah.
resolved via an email or some correspondence like that, try to get it resolved using that particular correspondence. You don't really need a meeting. I remember some years ago, yeah, over a decade ago, I remember reading a book. The definition of a meeting is they call it the number one time waster in an organization, right? Because that is what people do, unfortunately, when it comes to these meetings. Um,
Yeah, correct.
they will be under the waste time. You you come in confused, you walk out more confused.
More confused.
Yeah.
You're working
So,
confused.
so once you deal with that, that is going to be so important in terms of how you bring productivity to what you do and you eliminate distraction. And because you have an agenda, people know exactly what it is that they need to deal with or answer as they come into the meeting. So people come in prepared into the meeting because I don't think you would like people to come into your meeting unprepared. But you have a responsibility to ensure that there's an agenda put out. So when persons come into the meeting, they are prepared to answer questions, give presentations, whatever the case may be along that line. And as I said, if you can avoid a meeting, avoid it. If it can be answered via email, a simple instant message, a three-way call, whatever the case may be, let's see if we can actually eliminate that particular aspect of it if you don't need to have meetings as such.
Correct.
All right. And the fourth one that is people have I don't know, is an addiction with is in
Hmm.
terms of how you deal with the your social media, your phone and these things like that.
Right.
If you know that you need to be working between maybe 10 and 12 in a day, that you need to have total focus work to be able to zone in a particular item and you need that 2 hours. The people that you need to contact, let them know in advance. I would not be in contact with you between 9 and 10 or 8 and 10 or whatever the case may be. And they know fully well that look, you're not going to be in contact.
Yeah, but
And
I don't think we even need to be doing that, especially if it's a matter of social media or messaging. If you send me a message, I'll just respond to you when I'm free. All right. If
right,
it's very important, you're gonna call. You know what
true.
I'm saying? So we don't even need, I mean, for messaging during the day, especially during working hours. I
Mhm.
think once again it comes back to
The
practicing bad
individual,
practicing bad
yeah.
habits, right? Where
Mhm.
somebody message or your phone vibrate or something, you automatically just reach for it to check and believe
and
you
and
must
that's the problem.
respond and stuff like that. So, you know, comes down to
Yeah.
just practicing bad habits.
Mhm.
And you would I want to call this what you're discussing here, the one of the main weapons of mass distraction, right?
Yes, it
This
is.
cell phone usage is literally like one of the most ridiculous, right now, addictive. I don't know what it is. Well, I mean, I know what it is because a lot of these
Mhm.
programs, apps, social media, and whatnot are built to actually keep you hooked and on and distracted in that sense, right? And
True.
a lot of people don't unplug from it. Um, And I'll actually give you an example of a show I was watching recently. For those who are fans of Black Mirror, there's an episode called Smithereens that came
Mhm.
out that the Smithereens is actually a company, let's say like what we're on now, like on Facebook, right? They're a social media company. And the gentleman was trying to get in contact with the owner because he felt guilty 2 years ago. He got into a car accident. His wife died. Sorry, his fiance died, and he blamed himself because while he
Mhm.
was driving, he saw a notification from Smithereens and looked down to check it. And by the time he looked back up, it's because a drunk driver ran into his car, broke a light and ran into his car. And he blamed himself for being on his phone and going on social media. So, and I'm certain there actually are a lot of real life situations that happen just like that, where somebody look down at their phone for a message or whatnot. Otherwise, it's against the law, to have your
Mhm.
phone and be on your phone for a phone call, or you're trying to send messages while you're driving, right? That is why that law is there because you can't get into accidents from being distracted by your cell phone. That is a literal weapon of mass distraction.
Destruction.
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah. And unfortunately, people get themselves roped into that right through in terms of have to jump on the phone and let's be honest, some of us lack the discipline. We'll be typing and as soon as we hear put it on the phone, we're ready to turn around and grab. And that takes us totally off of the focus of what we are doing.
Correct.
That's why for some persons they say, yeah, what? Let me just put my phone in airplane mode for an hour, so I can't hear a thing. That 1 hour I have right there, I can do my work, and then after when I turn that back on, get all the notifications and answer all of these things that they want. So yeah, for everybody, there's a little feature on all phones, all smartphones, I should say, called airplane mode. Yeah, you can put that on. It will turn off your Wi-Fi, it will turn off these things, but people don't like
Airplane
to.
mode.
Yeah, people don't like that.
Buddy, people suffer from a thing with FOMO. I didn't know what it means until I asked somebody. Fear of missing out. That is a real thing. Apparently, people suffer from this thing called a fear of missing out.
Hmm.
So once that notification comes up, they check it. And to me, all right, you may not even need to put your phone in airplane mode. Take off your notifications.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. Take off your notifications. You don't need to know in every Gmail or WhatsApp or Instagram notification. You don't need to know those things every
Mhm.
minute of the day. You don't. You
Correct.
do not.
And believe it or not, emails as well can be distracting too on
Correct.
your desktop.
Correct.
You're always getting these notifications coming up. Why you need to have your email on for that 1 hour focus time? You
Your
don't
personal
really
email
need,
anyway.
yeah, you
I
don't
don't
need it
care.
up. Yeah, you don't really need that being up. All right. If you really need to get into a deadline and focus on this one thing or that one or two tasks that you need to finish within that couple of hours, as much distractions as possible, you need to be able to do that. And I
Yeah.
mean, I know we started chat on some of the distraction busters that it have out there. Now, it has some instances where people say you can actually have these apps installed on your phone that if it
Mm-hmm.
is going to be working for these two
X amount of
hours,
hours. Yeah.
yeah, it will
For
block
the
certain
time.
things
Yeah.
from exactly, you know. Now, it has some of these um distraction apps, I call them, or I should say, they have these productivity apps that
Mm-hmm.
can actually be distracting as well too. Eh?
Yeah. Yeah. Because you get
Yeah,
addicted to using them.
exactly. Like I know there was a particular one where if you don't touch your phone for a particular time, there's a tree that actually grows on your app or something like that. And as soon as you pick it up, your tree dies.
What?
Yeah, there's an actual app for that. Yeah, so if it is, yeah, so yeah, the more your tree grows, the more points you get or some kind of thing like that. And every time you pick up your phone to
It dies
check
a bit.
something, yeah, it dies a bit. Especially if it is you say, okay, no distraction between 8 and 10. It have those apps. You can find it on the
App Store.
Google apps and yeah, the
Yeah.
App Store and these things like that. You can get a number of those here. But basically, how it works is It's just set a time from 8 to 10 as a distraction free time. So they have a tree that's growing during that particular time. And your phone have a distraction. Things may be coming off on your phone or whatever. As soon as you pick up your phone, they tell you congratulations, you have just killed your tree
For
during
sure.
that particular time. So yeah, they have these particular apps that they put on as well too on your phone
Phone.
that you could use.
Yeah,
Um,
and I'm sure if people check their phones now, there's also an app that can tell you how long and what apps you are using the most, and you may be surprised at
yep,
how long and how much hours of the day you actually touch your phone. I think
exactly.
while we're talking, I'm actually going to Google it. All right, the
Okay.
actual average time people touch their phone. Yeah, no, there was some research that was done. Right.
Mhm.
So the average person is on their device 145 minutes a day, with heavier users using it at least 225 minutes a day. That's
Yeah, that is
a lot of time.
yeah, that is 4 to 5 hours a your time,
Yeah, correct.
and it might tell you say 5 out of 24 hours. No, if you get your sleeping too, you consider your sleep
Correct.
time and all these things like that. Because it have people who will be having lunch and on the phone and all these things like that. Yeah, it's a distracting tool, you
Yep.
know.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's crazy when you think about it, but then yes, we may be doing a lot more stuff on our phones. Yes, we may be some people actually work from their phones. In terms of people who do social media work, I'm not talking about those people who actually jobs pertain to these to using these tools, but
Mhm.
the people who naturally just seem to can't put it down. I ever so often ask a person when is the last time they turn off their phone, and they'll be like, "What? Turn off my phone? Like what is that?" I'm like, so you don't even turn off your phone, like you don't do an update and restart your phone, and they're like, you turn off my phone? Yeah, I'm like, come on, like, do you take breaks from your phone at least? I have no problem saying it. It is a weapon of mass distraction.
Yeah, and I tell you,
It
it
is.
is people look like crackheads going through withdrawal of their phone, battery go dead. If their
Yeah,
phone dead and not have no place to charge the phone,
they're going crazy, right?
they're going crazy. Rehab.
Yeah, it's not. I tell people there was a time I actually came off of social media for a year. Facebook, I believe I came off, and I did not miss it. Oftentimes I think I could come off of social media completely because it's not something that I need to be on. I don't feel like I miss out on anything by not being online. You know, so but some people they seem to can't do without it. And I just want people to realize that it is an addiction of some sorts. Um, But yes, many of these applications are meant to draw you and keep you coming back. That is how it is built. They find ways to ensure that you keep coming back to their applications. Um,
Mhm.
you know, but you yourself have to just be disciplined enough, hands down, regardless of any other app you could use, regardless of if you want to put your phone on silent, if you want to, take off the Wi-Fi even, regardless of what, it still comes down to discipline from you as
Exactly.
a person. And even when we left out as on the computer, there are people who like to have multiple tabs open, like ten tabs open, and they have the ones that they saved. Now they may be doing actual work and happen to glimpse up and then decide I want to check the tab that they had saved all the time, and distract their own selves. And this is something that they are in control of. It didn't do anything, it didn't have a notification or nothing, but the screen is there, it is accessible.
Mhm.
And that is the problem. It's accessible, therefore they access it. They just go on it because it's there.
Yeah. And
You know?
there are certain things, but sometimes what you need to do as well too, another thing that helps is simplifying your environment.
Yes,
Like for instance, your work area, you could simplify it as much as possible. You could
correct.
clear out so many physical things that could be distracting by a desk as well too.
Mm-hmm.
Something for me, I need to have an absolutely clean desk if I need to focus on work. If I have papers and stuff like that, I get easily distracted. I
Yep.
cannot work like that. So a habit that I have started doing, and I started that months ago, was on the evening before the last thing I do when I leave my little work area there, I clear up the desk and everything like that. So I don't have to do that in the morning when I get by my desk to go ahead and do my work. Sometimes your area is so distracting. You find that um you're working on an item and you're like, why I have this paper here? Why I have that staple there? I wonder if I have staples inside of there, boy.
If you have staples, that's kind of
Yeah, you're
strange,
watching
bro.
that staple there. I wonder there, boy. I have this piece of paper. I wonder what that piece of paper for, but I'm gonna be marked down something important that let me check that piece of paper.
Wow.
And people mind will just start going like that. So what I've done, and this is just me personally, this is just my way of doing it. I have my pens and pencils in reach for when I have my meetings. And if I know I'm going into a meeting, I go old school when it comes to meeting. I don't type up my minutes on the keyboard or anything like that. I actually write it down because somehow in writing it down, it retains in my mind much better and I could put down my actions and stuff accordingly. That's just my method. I know some people, it's easy for them to open up
Or using
their
notepad and some shit. Yep.
notepad and type stuff like that. I
Yep.
literally use a notebook and I write my stuff inside it. That's just my personal way of being able to write it up. And because I have a consistent way of how I take down my notes
Right.
in terms of the meetings, it's easy for me to zone in terms of, okay, this is where I know my actions are. This is where I know the objective, who was present in the meeting, all of these things like that. So it keeps me a little bit on track in terms of what it is. And because I'm doing it consistently, it really helps. So I try to get rid of a lot of distractions because I just get squirrel wise when it is I'm doing stuff. I might just start on something and just squirrel
Scroll.
and just go
Drift
off
and drift. Yeah.
and drift.
You
I
drift.
mean, and yeah, and again, also when it comes to um doing the item that you have to do, if you know that you're a person who drifts off that time in terms of how you work, the best way to be able to deal with the items that you're dealing with is not to stay on that particular item for no 2 hours or anything like that. You prep everything that you need to do and you work for 45 strong minutes on it. Take a break for 15 and then go back again for 45 minutes if it is a long lead type item that you're working
Yeah,
on.
Pomodoro method. We call it Pomodoro method.
Correct. And
Hmm.
for me, that actually worked out for me when I was when I now started tertiary education and everything like that. That definitely helped because oh my gosh, I was distracted by a lot of things. And if I didn't use that in terms of focusing, that would have been real pressure for me back in the day. And I still use that up to this day when it comes to working on items. I actually have uh, a little alarm that helps me out as well that, okay, I've made my 45 minutes, take a 15-minute break if it's a stretch, whatever the case may be, and then go back into it as well too. As much as possible, plan your day. Again, the distractions that you can control, plan ahead of time what it is that you're going to do and put these things in place, whether it's a meeting that you're going to chair, whether it's in terms of putting his phone on airplane mode or
Yep.
something like that. Or if you don't want to put it on airplane mode, put your phone on the opposite side of the room in terms of that. So if you're hearing it, I'm not gonna get up and just see that if it's for nothing. Some people, whatever method you know that could block off that distraction, you do it. And I
Do it.
mean, we have dealt with a good bit of them as we chat on it tonight. We spoke about notifications. We talk about airplane mode, moving it forward. We talk about clearing distractions from a physical area. Um, and there's a nice thing to do as well too, especially if it is that you have, especially for people who deal with sales and these things like that. Reward yourself after you accomplish what it is that you accomplish. I ain't saying reward yourself by buying a huge bucket of KFC and get Macawell syndrome and pass out. But it's all along the lines of, reward yourself after completing the objective of what it is that you say you were going to do for that 2 hour time or that 2 hour period that you're going to have that focus work on. Reward yourself and reward yourself good. You deserve it. All right. I mean, what are your thoughts on that one, Chris?
Well, I mean, rewarding yourself for not distracting yourself. Um,
Because I mean, there's reward yourself for distracting yourself, right? Hey, let me
well,
go on social media. Let me go on my TikTok.
the only issue I see may come with that is
Mm-hmm.
what the reward actually is.
Yes.
The reward might be something that would just distract them, right? It may be something that would actually create a bad habit. No, the
Mm-hmm.
reward is not getting up and stretching or, you know, breaking that cycle of sitting down for long periods. But we're
Mm-hmm.
seeing a reward as in give yourself, do a task or something that may end up being something that distracts them even further.
Yeah.
Like I've seen people that smoke. They will stop to take a smoke, and when you check, it's a whole hour gone by, and they didn't realize, and they just went downstairs and smoked, and ended up all talking with somebody else that was there smoking with them. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
it 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 still has to have some sort of control in terms of what that reward is, because you don't
Mm-hmm.
want to reward yourself with a
Things that could kill
distraction
you.
or something that will become a bad habit, or something that actually sets you back in time. We don't want
Exactly.
that to happen. At the same time, nothing wrong with giving yourself a reward if it means you get up, go for a glass of water, stretch, like I said, break the monotony of sitting down for long periods, circulation in your legs, your posturing, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Let those be the rewards. You know,
Yeah.
let
Yeah.
that
Don't go.
be
Yeah.
let
Don't
that
go
be it.
extreme. Yeah. Don't go
Yeah,
extreme. You don't want to
yeah,
go like, well, okay. After I finish this one report, I'm going to eat this half a cheesecake and all this kind of thing.
yeah,
Nah,
yes.
bro.
No, what I mean, but there has to be some control with that as well. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we are all human.
Mm,
And for me, the biggest thing with this will always be discipline or the lack thereof,
mm-hmm.
um, habits that became part of our lifestyle, and we didn't realize things that are agreeably not always easy to just break,
Mm-hmm.
but it didn't happen overnight. So therefore,
Correct.
it wouldn't happen overnight that you stop it, right? So
Correct.
it still comes back to what you do every single day towards, breaking those habits, causing the things that would distract you less, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, note, like we said at the beginning, this is not about cutting out all distractions, because that would not just be a finger snap, right? It's
Exactly.
going to take time, and it's about taming the distractions,
Mm-hmm.
dealing with it, realizing when you're falling into it, right? So you will know when to cut yourself short and realize, hey, let me get back to work. I'm a phone too long, or some people may stop to probably watch a show or series during lunch, and
Mm-hmm.
then boom, they actually watch 4 episodes. Right? These things happen, you
Yeah, it
know.
does happen.
And I mean, nobody's upsetting anybody. These things happen, all right, and you're going to be learning how to deal with it over time. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, once the distractions are tamed, they start decreasing on their own, and you realize you actually have more time in the day to commit to either doing work
Mm-hmm.
or working on yourself in that case, and bettering yourself in some form. you know so it will happen. It will happen.
Yeah, that's definitely it. And you see, there are benefits in terms of taming the distraction. I mean, the first thing, it actually improves your productivity in terms of what you're doing. So
Correct.
if it is that you're able to complete your task within that allotted time, I mean, it's better for you in terms of what it is that you're doing. It actually helps in terms of relieving stress with you all as well, because if it is that you're so distracted by items, you're gonna start now being distracted by the stress that you have now because you're trying to complete your work. And That comes into the same thing that we spoke about earlier, Chris, with respect to sometimes your own mind creates a distraction.
Correct.
Your mind starts to stress out in terms of, okay, what if I can't complete this? This will happen, this will happen, this will happen. And your mind going off on that, and you're not in the present in terms of executing what you need to do.
Correct.
So taming the distraction helps in terms of increasing the productivity. What it also helps in terms of doing as well, it actually makes you more engaged, especially when it comes to these meetings that you go to. So the meetings that you are in charge of personally, and even the ones that you have been asked to go to. If it is that you're able to, the ones that you're asked to go to, if you're able to state, look, what are the objectives of this meeting? What it is that we have to do here? And you ask these questions. That means you'll be listening attentively to whoever is there to make sure that they're able to answer the question that you laid out in the meeting itself.
Correct.
All right. And you're able to take responsibility to put them on track if it is that they're not on track. Same thing if it is that you have called the meeting yourself and you put that agenda out. These are the things that we're going to keep track of. And this is what you are going to stick with. You are engaged as well in terms of what feedback you're getting from others with respect to them sticking to the agenda. So you're looking at increased engagement in the meeting, and you're looking at improved productivity as well. And honestly, a reduction in stress levels. Because I mean, it could eat out into your time that you could be doing a number of other things to help your personal development. But because of distractions, you're eating away into that time itself, and you're always playing catch up with the work that you're doing. And that is not really good in terms of your productivity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. Correct.
So I know these are some of the items that I just wanted persons to understand in terms of taming distraction. As you rightfully say, we cannot eliminate distractions, but we can take control of our lives to be able to know how to deal with the distractions, whether they are things that are uncontrolled or things that are within our control.
Yep.
What we can do and how we respond to it is extremely important in the time that we're living in right now.
Yep. It's all about management, self-management.
Mm-hmm.
Always about the things that's in your control. External things don't matter. But you do try to decrease or put yourself in a space where it does not become too much of a factor.
Yeah.
And most times everything is okay with that. But people, I do want you to personally take time, do some self-inspection, look at the things that distract you the most from when you're at home, trying to focus on getting something done, to when you're working, whether you're working at home or you're going to the office. Look at the things that distract you presently. Is it
Mm-hmm.
external factors, people, getting into idle conversations, stuff like that, or is it a combination of that and your cell phone and your computer and the technology that's around you? You know, take stock of those things and see how you yourself can actively put things in place to tame those distractions because you're actually going to be helping yourself as we just went over those things, being more productive and stuff in the long run. And this is all about us helping you help you. All
That's
right.
right.
So I mean that's about it. I think we didn't have any questions in the comment section. I was checking my phone.
Yeah,
It
I didn't see
that
any
well.
questions there, but I see a lot of
Yeah.
recommendations there. Take a drink of water, keep hydrated. Um, you know,
What
seeing
about
some
people? What about people that distract you inconveniently? Well, that's one of the distractions that we mentioned not in our control and annoying, and you can actually basically just let people know that you're busy. I mean,
Mhm.
nothing is wrong with that, especially in the work environment. Let people know
Correct.
that you're busy right now. You can't speak right now, and it's fine. And you are within your right and your space to actually share that. So don't
Hmm.
worry what people can't distract you inconveniently unless you participate. Unless
Yeah.
you participate in the distraction, they cannot, you understand? So they can't distract you inconveniently. If you don't take them on, then they're not distracting you, right?
That
If,
is right.
exactly. If you tell them you can't speak right now and you'll talk to them later, then they aren't distracting you
Hmm.
inconveniently. is you engaging, you actually allowing it to happen. So once you cut that quick, the end of that.
Yeah,
All
get them
right,
a
don't
time, tell
don't
them I will
participate.
check. Yeah,
Don't
don't
participate.
don't continue with it too long.
Correct.
Please, don't do it. All right,
All right.
thanks for that question. Yeah.
Yep. For sure.
Okay.
All right.
All
Well, yeah,
right.
I'm not gonna say thanks for the question, Miss Murphy, but it's Mr. Murphy. All right, who is
Mhm,
using Mrs. Murphy's phone.
mhm.
All right.
Mrs. Limo. Ah,
And then Diane. So it's all good. It's
yeah.
all good. All right. So folks, we want to thank you once again. I mean, we wrapped up. We are at the top of the hour. And I mean, the conversation as always, we like to keep it casual. We like to have it engaged, have you engage with us on topics that we know, continue to plague a lot of people, especially now during COVID time, with who,
Hmm.
thinking about stuff that's going on around them, separate from work, anxiety, depression because of the pandemic. We hear about the cutbacks, we hear about stuff with the economy, and we're
Hmm.
trying to still, do our day to day in between all of this. So that's why we made sure we had to touch on, dealing with distractions as well, so that you know
Hmm.
how to find that composure, all right? Find composure, right, in the stuff that you do, and
Hmm.
go about your day to day in a very, you know, efficient and productive way. All right. So thanks once again for all those that tuned in tonight. And like I said, gents, please don't wear hats indoors. I am just wearing this to show, my support, my prayers, and solidarity,
Clarity.
right, with St. Vincent and all that they are going through right now.
Yes, yes, yes. And for those who are tuned in right now, I love to say this. For those who are on Facebook Live, don't forget, if you haven't liked our page as yet, go ahead and like our page. Turn on the notifications that you're up so you are updated when we come through with our lives. And for those who are looking at us on YouTube, go ahead, give a thumbs up to our video. That really helps out a lot in terms of the algorithm. And it will let YouTube know, well, hey, you like these particular videos and it will come up more in your feed. And if you really like our program, go ahead and subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. And if you really, really like what we do, go ahead and turn on that notification bell as well too on YouTube. So again, we are on Facebook Live and on YouTube. So I just want to make sure that everybody is in tune with respect to that.
Of
Again, thank you all very much for connecting. Chris, you have anything
Now,
closing words
I
to hit
just
us?
I just saw another question coming with who do we contact in helping? I'm not sure exactly what is being asked there, but you can go ahead and leave the question in the comments and we will address it after the show. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fine. You can go ahead and leave it and we'll deal with that. But no, that's it for tonight. And as always, folks, we please do adhere to all COVID regulations, practice social distancing, wash your hands, and as always,
Mm-hmm.
wear your mask when you're out and about. Okay, so thank you for another night, and we will see you next week. All right.
Take care.